Five stanzas to Sri Arunachala. Ocean of nectar, full of grace, engulfing the universe in thy splendor. O Arunachala, the supreme itself, be thou the sun and open the lotus of my heart in bliss. This is the opening stanza of the Pancharatna, which in the form of a stotra, praise of God, contains the gist of supreme knowledge, born of realization. It is said to be like a sutra, very terse, with much deeper significance than appears superficially. Arunachala. Aruna is light, plus Achala is the mountain, means Tejolinga or symbol of light of Shiva. Its significance for the individual is that when one gets beyond body consciousness, the inner self shines pure and clear. Ordinary loss of body consciousness, as in shock, results only in darkness, whereas the same brought about voluntarily for the purpose of self-realization ends in the illumination of the self by the sole grace of God. Such illumination destroys the ego, producing complete self-surrender to the Lord. The Lord is eternal, the sense of eternity is a bliss. Just as the lotus bud, flourishing in marshy pools, blossoms at sunrise, so also the heart, behind the soiled mind, shines forth by the grace of God, who is the self of all selves and who is externally visible as Arunachala. But this sun, after rising up, never sets again, and the heart of the realized soul is in blossom once and for all. Number 2. O Arunachala, in thee the picture of the universe is formed, has its stay and is dissolved. This is the sublime truth. Thou art the inner self, who dancest in the heart as I. Heart is thy name, O Lord. This sloka refers to God first as creator, preserver, and destroyer, and then as realized by the enlightened. The liberated say that just as God is the stay of the universe, so also the heart is of the individual. The part must be of the nature of the whole. The whole, God, is infinity. Therefore, there is no distinction between the heart and the God. God is consciousness, as also is the heart. Self-contained and sublime, it manifests as the individual self concomitantly with an individualizing force perceptible as the ego or I. If the ego is traced back, they say that there becomes perceptible a vibration from the heart, signifying the real self. Number 3. He who turns inward with untroubled mind to search where the consciousness of I arises, realizes the self, and rests in thee, O Arunachala, like a river when it joins the ocean. This sloka deals with the Jnana Marga, the path of knowledge, followed by inquirers and seekers after truth. It is one of the 3 or even 4 paths to realization of self. These are Jnana, Yoga, Bhakti, and Karma. The ocean, being the store of all waters, evaporates, clouds are formed, and rain falls. giving rise to rivers, which as soon as formed become restless, as it were, course along as if to find their origin, and repose only after being discharged into the ocean. Similarly, the individual emanating from the heart is restless and becomes eager to find his own source. The way is the trail of the ego into the heart. Number 4. Abandoning the outer world with mind and breath controlled. To meditate on thee within, the yogi sees thy light, O Arunachala, and find his delight in thee. This stanza deals with Yoga Marga, described in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. While a jnani seeks within for the source of the ego and is liberated on tracing it to the heart, a yogi, craving to see the glory of God, turns away from the pursuits and concentrates on Him in the shape or name of Arunachala. The hill, though material in outward appearance, becomes full of life and perceptible in the transcendental vision of the yogi as the universal, glorious light, the same as self. Number 5. He who dedicates his mind to thee and seeing thee always beholds the universe as thy figure. He who at all times glorifies thee and loves thee as none other than the self. He is the master without a rival, being one with thee, O Arunachala, and lost in thy bliss. The first part of this stanza deals with Bhakti Marga, glorifying God with intense love. One passes beyond samsara and is happy at being merged in Him. This is Bhakti. The transcendental vision reveals Arunachala as one's own master. And such repeated experiences convince one of the immanence of God. Complete surrender of self ensues, and what remains over is only the all-pervading and ever-present glorious being consciousness. Transcendence sweeps away names and forms, and the result is infinity, eternity. The second part of the stanza deals with Karma Marga, feeling God's immanence everywhere. One considers oneself not as the agent, but as a tool to serve God in the shape of one's surroundings. The second part of the stanza deals with Karma Marga, feeling God's immanence everywhere. One considers oneself not as the agent, but as a tool to serve God in the shape of one's surroundings. There are three aspects of God according to one's own realization. They are Sat, being, Chit, consciousness, Ananda, bliss. The Sat aspect is emphasized by Jnanis, who are said to repose in the essence of being after incessant search for the same, and with their individuality lost in the Supreme. The Chit aspect is for yogis who exert themselves to control their breath in order to study the mind and are then said to see the glory, consciousness of being of God as the one light radiating in all directions. The Ananda aspect is for devotees who become intoxicated with the nectar of the love of God and lose themselves in blissful experience. Unwilling to leave this, they remain forever immersed in God. The four margas, karma, bhakti, yoga, and jnana, are not exclusive of one another. Each is, however, described separately in classical works only to convey an idea of the appropriate aspect of God to appeal readily to the aspirant according to his predisposition. This stotra, though short, is compact and can be so expanded as to be of interest also to scholars and philosophers. Arunachala Ramana is the Supreme Being who sports within the lotus hearts of all beings, beginning with Hari in the form of consciousness. If one enters with a heart melting with devotion, the abode in which the Supreme Being is shining, his eye of knowledge will be opened and he will become consciousness itself. The truth will become clear to him. May the great name of divine Arunachala last forever. May the 5 verses named after him last forever. May the feet of the great Ramana, from whose mouth this flower has come forth, live forever. May the pious devotees who seek refuge at those feet live forever.